You can feel the hype in the air. Team Liquid and Fnatic are about to face off, and we are mere moments away from the best of 5 series. My name is Trixler, and this guy, he's pretty pumped. I know he is. Caldor.
I am very, very pumped for this series. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Players are already preparing for the lobby. Breeze jumped in, dropped the German right away, trying to taunt Team Liquid a little bit. I couldn't resist, jumped in as well, and was immediately shouting Kel'Thas. Misspelled it a little bit, which caused a bit of fun there. But yeah, everybody's ready, everybody's hyped. The players are ready, the audience is ready. This is going to be good.
Yeah, it's coming down to the hunger here of Fnatic. They really want to secure this victory, maybe deliver the first beatdown to Team Liquid that they have been wanting to have for a while, as they are currently 10-0 and undefeated. Let's go ahead and check out the standings here to look at Team Liquid, who is currently at the very tippy top here with the 10-0 Fnatic lagging right behind here with a 9-1, and they would love to get a loss there where that goose egg currently sits.
The number 1 against the number 2, and for Fnatic to overtake Team Liquid, they not only have to win the series, they have to win it without dropping a map.
Which is going to be a difficult task. That's one of the things about Team Liquid. There are moments where sometimes they seem to falter a little bit, but they're a team that never breaks. They'll bend occasionally, but when it comes to league play, they always etch out the victory in some way or some form. In fact, that's what happened the last time these two faced off.
Exactly. The last time it was a 2-3 victory for Team Liquid. And there's another team that is actually watching this series very closely and currently crossing their fingers for Fnatic, and it's Dignitas. Since Dignitas knows fully well, even if they win on Sunday against Team Liquid, if Team Liquid takes this today, the chances of dethroning Liquid at the end of the season are very slim.
Oh, incredible. And the thing is, this isn't the only match. The hype continues. North America later on today will also be showing up. Look at this here. Team Liquid and Fnatic about to happen, but later Superstars and Team H, and then Team Naventic and Gale Force Esports. You should be glued to your chairs today because you are going to be filled with exciting games.
Yeah, so we have a lot of spectacular games today. We already saw, of course, Expert against BGenius a bit earlier. As you just said, Superstars versus Team 8. That's one of the games that I'm still going to be watching. We've been talking a lot about Team 8, and they didn't really have the start into the second phase that we thought they would in the second part. But yeah, Team Liquid versus Fnatic.
It's going to be a good one, man. In fact, the players themselves have already shared their thoughts about the matchup. Let's hear what they have to say.
Coming into the match against Team Liquid, we are really just trying to improve our drafts and make really good team compositions against what we expect them to play. Because if we have a equal draft or even better draft than them, we are probably going to win the games pretty easily. I think a lot of people are fooled by Team Liquid's 10-0 stats in the HGC, because I think ever since the Western Clash, Team Liquid's actually below Team Dignitas and Fnatic at least. I definitely think Team Liquid is the weakest of the big 3 right now, and I think we can beat them.
There's some things we did wrong at the Western Clash. I believe that sometimes we make mistakes that are not necessarily dependent on the opponent, but more on our side, and that you can obviously work more on than on fixing something regarding a specific team. But right now, I think Fnatic is a really strong team. They know what they're doing, but if we give it our best, we can definitely beat them.
Wow, Fnatic just straight up calling out Team Liquid in that interview. My golly. Everyone's been talking about this match. In fact, we have 5 tweets to show you guys about people just getting pumped and excited for it. The players themselves continuing to talk about it. So let's go ahead and check out the first tweet here and see what's going on around the web here. New type 2K6. My body is so ready for Team Liquid versus Fnatic. Hashtag HGC.
Yeah, I make that too. I'm right there with you. This is going to be a fantastic series.
Yeah, man. Next one here. Liquid Blumby, one of the players playing today, actually. Really hyped for our series versus Fnatic. The matchup can go either way, dependent on momentum and daily performance. Tune in tomorrow. That is today, actually. Bottom part there. Missing out a little bit there. Blumby tweeting about it yesterday.
Yeah, and don't forget to follow these players as well, as we have Smexy also tweeting out that this is one of the most important matches since the launch of the league for them. And they are hungry for revenge, of course, since we just talked about them losing the first game they played against Team Liquid, just barely.
Just barely here. Gosh, so many storylines coming into this match here. I can feel the calm before the storm. Fnatic will challenge us for the #1 spot in HCU in 15 minutes. That's right, Splendor getting set up here. We're going to watch out for him to make some incredible plays today, as always.
I'm just hyped.
As you should be. As you should be, man.
I've been talking to everyone in the studio because no matter what happens here, it's going to be awesome. If it's a 3-0 victory, it's still going to be great. Fnatic needs a 3-0. Of course, if they win the series, it's going to be great for them no matter what. But if they want to overtake Team Liquid today, not next week, not tomorrow, but today, they have to win 3-0. Then again, imagine what happens if Team Liquid takes it with a 3-0. All of a sudden, they would still be undefeated and they would shut down one of their main competitors hard and set themselves in a spot where they can basically not lose anymore, because they are going up against BGenius. That's a series that they are supposed to win, and they're going up against Teams Experts, also another series that is outside of the big three. Expert making, of course, big plays to get into the big three, but that's something that is more manageable for Team Liquid than going up against the direct competitors. So they would, with a victory against Fnatic, achieve a lot today.
Let's get this train rolling. Let's get it started here. Fnatic, always in comms, it yells about this battleground. Which battleground are we going to? Look at this. It is going to be Warhead Junction for game number 1.
Okay. Didn't expect that to happen, but yeah, Warhead is going to be our first map. It's also a map that was not played the last time these two teams were facing off against each other. And it's a map that we don't really see all that often, but apparently Fnatic confident, and Globals, of course, once again, something that we're going to talk about quite a bit.
Yeah, we're going to start this game off with an explosion or two, nukes being in the mix.
Vikings.
Vikings, exactly. I was thinking that's so well. Hasselhoffs can pull it out. Fnatic could potentially ban it here, but the Vikings are a powerful tool here if you want to be able to control the 4 nuke spawns.
The Vikings were a talking point throughout the entire last series that Team Liquid played, because Hasselhoffs was picking them up so many times, and he played really well, and Fnatic realized that as well. They were talking about it in their tweet saying, okay, Hasselhoffs and the Vikings, something we have to watch out for. Now this is a map that is incredibly huge, so this is one of those moments where you could throw a bit of a Viking curveball there to your opponent.
And speaking of curveballs, Fnatic has ran Azmodan in the past, and this is a battleground where Azmodan can be aggressive. And if Fnatic chooses this map in particular for game number 1, I feel like they're bringing something out.
I'm fangirling this already. This is just awesome. This is the first map that hasn't even started. We're just in the draft and I'm already hyped for this. A ban on Tracer, just respecting how strong Shrimpy can be on Tracer. Fnatic in the past has run the hero on big maps, and whenever Shrimpy says, boys, give me my girl, give me Tracer, I can make this happen, Quacknix usually listens to him and says, okay, if you feel that you have it today, then we trust you. And that was one of the reasons why they were actually so successful at BlizzCon.
That's probably one of the exciting things about this matchup. If you are someone that has just joined the game because of 2.0 and you're checking out the esports today, these two teams have playmakers out the wahoo. You have Darkmok over on Team Liquid. You have Hasselhoffs who can pull out a majority of heroes. They have massive hero pulls. Over on the left, Fnatic, you got Shwimpy that was just talked about here by Calidor. But you also have Quacknix who's been devastating on Greymane.
Yeah. And just think about what happened here. A ban on Tracer. If you watched anything in HGC Europe, you probably haven't even seen a Tracer being picked. The last game where we saw Expert, I think was one of the first times in this part where Tracer was all of a sudden being picked up. Now you have it as a first ban. That is how much Team Liquid currently respects the Tracer on the other side. There's the Falstad variant for Breeze, immediately locked down here now too. So Falstad matching the global that Team Liquid just picked up in terms of the Dehaka.
That's the important point here. Matching what is available for Team Liquid. Grabbing the Dehaka here early, Fnatic has to grab it themselves, and they also get engaged. So now they can force a fight at any point and have Falstad fly in. Our teams will have to match wits and skill here due to the globals being available.
Especially when we're talking Fnatic, one of the things that they excel at is using globals. They've been doing it on Sky Temple. It's actually one of the reasons why, first of all, Sky Temple is oftentimes banned out against them, and we have heard teams talk about how on Sky Temple they throw in odd strategies because they know in a straight-up game they just cannot beat Fnatic. The interesting part about this is, though, guess who beat them on Sky Temple? It was Team Liquid the last time they faced each other. So Team Liquid also a team that with globals can just do so much.
And that's why the top 3 can be so exciting to watch. And just to throw it out there, too, the other team that's watching this match right now, Dignitas, down the contestant. And we're going straight into it. You called it earlier. Hasselhoffs mentioned it on Twitter yesterday. And in game number 1, we're getting Olaf and the boys. The Vikings have been chosen.
I'm happy. I'm happy, Panda. All right, so we have Vikings and Lucio being picked. So, once again, Vikings against Falstad. So the bird is going to try and get a couple of fly-ins to drop those Vikings off the lanes. But this on the big map is, of course, a big strength. And that's something that Fnatic definitely thought about.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no way that Fnatic was looking at this map, at Team Liquid's recent performance, and saying, nah, Vikings are not going to be an issue. They decided they would not ban them out first. They were more worried about any kind of Tacita composition. And Liquid with a very early Vikings pick, because they know that the chance of Fnatic banning the Vikings out is just enormous.
It is absolutely enormous. And to note, we did actually have this combo before, Dahaka and Vikings last week on Cursed Hollow. The idea behind it is even if picks are happening with the Vikings because of Falstad, you can have Dahaka sit there and band-aid that lane for a while and then come in for the rotations. That global power really helping out. Now, looking at the bans, Fnatic takes out Greymane here. Greymane is a hero that's picked up by Darkmok occasionally. He plays Assassins here, Vala a lot too. But Greymane being impactful in these team fights and going for quick kills can be enough for Team Liquid to run forward with these Vikings. So the ban makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah, at some point I was even thinking about maybe a Sylvanas being picked up for the opponent's team. One of the countermeasures against the Vikings for a long time was that you are trying to put incredible pressure on the lanes and you just barrel through. Sylvanas can make that happen. I don't really think that Fnatic is going to go down that path, though, especially with Falstad already being picked. I don't think the Sylvanas is necessarily now the solution to this issue, but they will have something prepared here. They knew there's a good chance of the Vikings being picked, and now Zeratul is banned, since, of course, Team Liquid, they also know Vikings are great for us. Hazobs is amazing on the hero, but we need to make his life a bit easier. We cannot just simply throw him to the wolves. So let's get rid of Zeratul first of all, because if we don't do that, then he is going to hunt them down one by one.
Yeah, and if you start losing Vikings 1 to 2 at a time, suddenly this battleground is so huge, can start to just flow out of battle so quickly, and then you get a couple of nukes on the opposing team, and you just fall from there. Also, to know, if the Vikings get a nuke and Zeratul comes in and gets a kill, he takes away that nuke, which makes it even more important for those kills to happen. So the ban now put in. Now looking over to Falstad and Varian, looking at potentially a support here. Now Varian is still available for grabs.
The nuke one that you just mentioned is also interesting when we're talking about our newer maps like Hanamura, because one of the things you have to realize is everybody's talking about bribe, how much of value you get since those items drop on those mercenary camps. But indeed, as with the nukes, if you kill a Viking and you get an item or a nuke, that all of a sudden negates a lot of this. So it's a risky play that we sometimes see there.
Wow!
All right, Brightwing.
We have not seen Brightwing in weeks here in the HGC.
Globals. All about the globals right now. Brightwing was a hero that also played a huge role the last time these two teams faced each other. Back then, Brightwing, of course, also a bit more in the meta, but both of them prioritizing very highly that global mobility overall. Our top dogs in that category are Dehaka and Falstad, but Brightwing gives you at least a little bit to work with here as well. So that's another tool that they have to quickly rotate through the map and simply transition from the bot lane to the top, or vice versa.
Yeah, and you can now hang 10 with these Vikings too. You have Brightwing and your Falstad. They always watch those lanes, but also have the threat of coming in for the rotation, as you mentioned. A Varian calling out on comms, I'm going in for the engage. Brightwing immediately drops in the phase shift, and Falstad flies in and then get a pick off. It's all about getting the rotations and getting a pick off on opposing members. So they're going to need some damage, probably a little bit more Fnatic on that fifth slide, but over to Team Liquid, what are we thinking here for picks?
Team Liquid also, of course, needs a bit of range damage that they just simply don't have yet. One of the things that I would see for Fnatic could also be a Li Ming. So the question is, does Team Liquid move in and try to get Li Ming themselves? They know that Shrimpy likes to play the hero, but they go for the Tychus. And as their front line, we had basically two choices at this point for them, Johanna and Arthas. Arthas together with the Lucio has a lot of synergy. Both of these picks actually, Tychus and Arthas, work really well with Lucio. We've been talking a lot about the movement speed and the additional, the bigger they are value you get out of Tychus if you can utilize that to your advantage. So this is a very solid roundup for Team Liquid. Now the question, of course, what is going to be Fnatic's last pick? And we are looking at Shrimpy at this point.
What Shrimpy's going to move into. This is usually where we have the odd pickup, as Shrimpy is one of those players that can just play a majority of heroes available and Heroes of the Storm. There's Chromies, there's all these mix-ups that he can have available. Anything odd that would jump out here to you as a possibility?
I could definitely see Li Ming. We've been talking about the dynamic between the battle between the Lost Vikings and Li Ming. That could be something that he's looking for here. He's an incredible versatile hero. He has by far the biggest hero pool on the side of Fnatic. This is not even a contest, so Shrimpy could pick anything here, but they need a range damage dealer, and I think Li Ming is an option at least.
It's gonna be Illidan.
Oh, okay. I like that even more aggression. Not playing it safe in the slightest, going for an Illidan, and you know what? That could theoretically be another pseudo-global.
We could
see the Hunt here just simply to transition. We have seen on Towers of Doom Hunt oftentimes picked up just because you want to have another pseudo-global with the cooldown reduction that he has on his auto attacks. You can basically ensure that you have the hunt available for every single team fight. So then you just simply push your offlane, and all of a sudden the fight starts to happen, you hunt in, and you join your team. So we've seen that on Towers of Doom, we've seen that on other big maps. It's an option for them.
It is an option for them. We'll have to see how it pans out. But majority of you keep talking about this match. Bad Biddy in particular. We just saw him from Team Expert. He just brought up his own thoughts about the match coming up right now. So Bad Biddy, now to watch probably the most important series of the season. Fnatic taking on Team Liquid. Who do you guys think is going to take it? You know, you at home, let us know. Hit us up on HGC. Use that hashtag HGC, and Heroes Esports is a Twitter that we will take your tweets from.
Exactly. We have a series that hopefully goes over 5 maps, so definitely give us your thoughts. What do you think about the games? Who you think has an edge here, especially now that you already seen the draft for map number 1. And you know what? With this draft, Fnatic has to shift a couple of heroes around.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Wow, it's going to be odd to see who picks up what. And also, their coordination has to be on point. Team Liquid, if they don't die early, if they don't start to throw the game essentially by getting picked off left and right by these globals that are constantly coming in, I could see a world where we have all the globals used on one target, and then suddenly Team Liquid just pushes with the Vikings, gets a lot of value out of the soaking, and maybe an afford to.
Vikings in particular are just one of these heroes that is a pleasure to watch, especially if you have an experienced player using them. And of course, HazOps is one of those players. He has been playing Warcraft 3 for a long time. He transitioned into StarCraft 2. He has that macro that he needs to play the Vikings. And HazOps in particular is actually a very good point here, because if you go to playheroes.com/HGC, there's also still an interview available with him. He's one of the oldest players in the league. I think he's the oldest in Europe. There's Corthan Luck over on the side of North America that is a bit older than him, but HazOps is a veteran in esports in general, and he has a magnificent interview on the HGC website, so make sure that you check that out, playheroes.com/HGC. Have a look while we are, of course, getting ready for our first map.
Caldor, enough of us. Let's get this puppy started. Warhead Junction, Team Liquid versus Fnatic. It's for all the marbles here on the HGC. Let's do it.
Game number 1 in probably the most important game this season. It is Fnatic going up against Team Liquid and the Swedish Backstreet Boys on the left side with Smexy on Brightwing, Whoopi on Illidan, Schwimpy on that front line today with the Nubarak. We see Quacknix on Fostad and Breeze on Varian.
To the right, the undefeated team in the league here for HGC Europe. We're going to have Blumby on the Arthas. Hasawa will be playing his Vikings. Watch out for his micro. Darkmok on the Tychus. Nuruk on Dahaka. And last but not least, the support, Splendor on Lucio.
This is going to be an absolutely fantastic game. The series is so important. Once again, Team Liquid is the number 1 in the standings. Fnatic coming in as the number 2. And Fnatic needs that 3-0 victory today to take the first spot. But of course, even if they lose a map or 2 here, a victory would already put them in such a fantastic position towards the rest of the season. Ideally, they would take the number 1 spot today, but anything they can do to get revenge for their loss the last time these two teams faced.
Both our teams playing a bit timid here in the early game. No mistakes happen here. They're so strong at their caliber of play here that if 1 or 2 pickoffs happen in the early game, you could see a team start to really take the momentum and run with it.
Already, Breeze very, very cautious here. Both of these teams, of course, know that if the momentum turns against them, that would be a problem, and they are trying to avoid that.
Avoiding all problems here. It's so quiet, you can hear Lucio skating around. He comes in for the boop, hitting Schwimpy. He's going to be popping here on the right. He's trying to make a play. He's going to go ahead and burrow, but he misses the burrow, and Schwimpy gets picked off.
Schwimpy down already. Exterminator sent into the match, and the Buck is dead. Sarconic already tweeting, as we could just see at the lower end, that Team Liquid is, in his opinion, going to take this game in the end. And so far, they're starting off pretty well here. Whoopi finds himself in a bit of a pickle, tries to move out. Nice dodge, but not enough. Illidan is dead, and that is a 2-0 kill lead for Team Liquid.
Team Liquid just understanding and knowing how to play with the Vikings. And when you have the best Viking player on your team, all you have to do is make sure to have proper rotations. And so far, Team Liquid and their movement has netted them 2 kills.
Really well done here on their end. So Team Liquid with the lead in kills this early in the game. And keep those Vikings, of course, in mind. Still holding strong when it comes to the experience. Now the first warheads are being deployed, Trixler.
2 warheads available in the next 5 seconds. This is where the Vikings can do okay. You mostly want the Vikings to be around for the 4-man nuke phase, so Fnatic will have tools here to deal with the pressure coming their way. They, in fact, elect to go ahead and move towards one nuke here in the middle as all 5 members are rotating in. Here goes Breeze.
Pressure on the Arthurs. They're going for Blumby. Blumby able to escape with the help of Splendor. Hazops in the meantime on the Vikings, still soaking the lanes. Eric down to the bottom of the map, and Olaf aiming for the warhead. One left, as Eric down to the bottom already put some pressure on the structures. Team Liquid walking away with an experienced lead for now, but both teams on the level 4 talent.
Very unfortunate that Fnatic did not get a kill there, because Dahaka and Balog pushed the top lane to get that experience, and they delayed long enough here to where they could get 2 nukes here available for them on the pickup, and they will now keep applying damage to their opponents.
Splendor with a nuke down to the bot lane. We saw one Viking die as we had Illidan moving in, but all of a sudden Norok is also saying hello and takes off Whoopi. Team Liquid with an absolutely fantastic start into this series now. They have a 3-0 kill lead and they run the Vikings. Hazops doing a fantastic job, and this is of course one of those maps where you get so much Viking value if you can keep them alive, but Fnatic is working to take them out up to the top. You had Falstad eliminating one of them.
Yeah, they need a few picks here, and they finally get the one on Balog in the top right, which is good for them because they're starting to fall pretty far behind. Team Liquid on a course for level 7. They have nukes implying damage in the top here. Overall, Team Liquid is in such a good spot. As long as they don't falter and continue to give any kills to Fnatic, they can get to 10 quick.
And Team Liquid was in such an awkward position coming into the season here. They lost at the Western Clash against Dignitas and against Fnatic. They looked a bit shaken going into the season, especially since they struggled against a lot of other teams where you would usually think they can clench out a very decisive victory. That didn't happen, and they themselves questioned how strong they actually are, picking up some confidence going up against Synergy just recently, but now this is the important one. And as you could hear earlier, Fnatic, they think they can make this an easy victory if they don't fall behind after the draft.
Yeah, and Team Liquid making sure that they can't think that after this game number 1. The Vikings continue to apply pressure. They stole the Mercs in the bottom left corner, so Hellbats are pushing in, making Brightwing head back there to clear out that push that's heading their way, which is again just opening up the map.
Look at that minimap right now. All the camps, yeah, exactly. All the camps picked by Team Liquid, they paint the map red and they make sure that there's constant pressure. All of a sudden, the bird in trouble. Quacknix is on the move back. Guess who's moving in? Splendor tries to push him into Norok for the drag. That doesn't happen. Smexy comes in to help out. But this is the danger that Team Liquid pushed onto their opponent. These constant rotations and these fast snap decisions to make a kill.
If that drag had connected, they would have gotten the false head kill and maybe the Brightwing as well, as she came in to help out. Barely missing out on it, but still Team Liquid would take the opportunity for the Global to be down on Brightwing to push in this turret on the top and have Eric and Balog continue to soak in the middle and bottom. Going aggressive here, Splendor with that Lucio. Being able to amp it up and activate is a very huge threat that Fnatic has to watch out for, especially with Arthas there.
Liquid with so much pressure, but down to the bottom of the map, we are seeing something similar happen as Fnatic is finally saying, this is it. They try to move in to make sure that they also get some experience by taking down towers and forts. Team Liquid still ahead in experience, but they're not on 10 just yet. And down here, once again, a bit of a push happening, but now Fnatic also eager to pick up the double nuke at the bottom of the map.
I really like Fnatic's movement here. They put all the members down the bottom to grab the 2 nukes and leave Brightwing in the top in case they need her to phase shift in. She's got the best global here for rotating, so they're going to trade 2 for 2 nukes, which is a pretty good trade overall for them.
And when we're talking about nukes, the one thing that you also have to keep in mind, once these forts are gone and you start to move through a keep, you always have the option to just go for a very quick and decisive move against the core itself if you have picked up several nukes. We're of course by no means there yet, but it's definitely something to keep in the back of your head for this game.
Yep, if boss push with it too can be quite devastating. Fnatic being great at going for the win. Whenever they do get a slight advantage, they pick off 1 or 2 members in the end of the game, those nukes will really help it be impactful for those moments. So watch out for that. Team Liquid now being level 10. Blumby on the right side here, Schwimpy on the left. They're so close to breaking out in a fight.
Yeah, and also very close to the level 10 for Fnatic to drop, and that gives us Taunt, and we talk about Varian so much. And Taunt is that tool that helps him to have this massive impact on fights. So it's something to watch out for, and also, of course, the question answered. And there it is, the hunt on Illidan, the pseudo-global we have been talking about earlier. Would not be surprised to see now a Cocoon on an Uberak either. he has definitely both choices here, but if they want to win these decisive team fights, a Cocoon could help them by locking down Lucio.
What do you think about Mighty Gust here, instead of picking up Pendulum Blast and going all in on the Illidan kill?
I absolutely like it. Good disengages, you need to make that happen. It also allows you just so many moves on the map. You already have, as we see now, a Cocoon that helps you just turn these fights. And this is actually, I like the Mighty Gust. I really think it's a tool that's awesome. I don't think you need to put all of your eggs into a basket. But at the same time, they could have done it. With a Lucio against you, if you can Cocoon him, maybe hunt on someone, get the Hinterland Blast here. But it's a very risky combo, I feel, because if you don't get the value out of it, you might be in trouble. With a Mighty Gust, you always have the option to walk away.
Well, we'll see how Fnatic handles the aggression here with their different heroics. Cocoon being important, the hunt as well. Watching Brightwing as she continues to sit in the top lane, now starting to apply a decent amount of pressure against Olaf, while the rest of Fnatic spreads out. We're going to have Illidan starting to go into jungle mode here. He grabs the Hellbots in the bottom, and is also grabbing the Mercs in the top left.
And Team Liquid is all of a sudden changing their stance a bit. You can really see that on the map. Early game, super aggressive, going for it, trying to push the advantage. And now, all of a sudden, they're a little bit more passive, and this is mainly because with level 10, Fnatic is starting to unfold the strength of their setup. The taunt that we've been talking about. Hunt, able to just appear on any lane within seconds as long as he's presenting himself roughly towards the middle of the map so that he is in range. Brightwing moving in. You talked about it a bit earlier. So this is Team Liquid starting to realize, or basically just acknowledging, hey, our opponent has a very strong setup. They can appear on any point on the map within seconds, and they're able to force us into a team fight by using Cocoon. So we have to be a bit careful. We cannot show the same aggression that we were able to do until level 10.
Oh, it's so important to note those power spikes that your opponents can get based on what levels they hit, whether it be a talent tier or even a heroic choice. Fnatic getting aggressive and getting the fort at the bottom. We do have Falstad flying in. We're going to have a fight. Here's the hunt.
Hunt goes in. It's Splendor with a shield immediately, but Darkmook is all of a sudden in trouble. And it looks like Tychus is going down. Tychus dead, but Arthas is still there. Bloomy, they're trying to lock him down as well. Splendor moves in to help him out. The army popped as Arthas walks away.
Sound barrier also used, so Team Liquid loses one member and unable to save their teammate. Fnatic turns around the momentum in the game and moves in for a boss.
This is so awesome to watch. Look what we're seeing now. Fnatic defensive in the early game, losing 3 heroes to Team Liquid. 10 pops, they have a chance. Look at it, jump in, drop the Tychus, and immediately afterward, no hesitation, they go for boss. They are saying there is no way that our opponent is contesting this. They drop the sound barrier. We got a kill on the Tychus. We can go for the boss, and they pick it up. No hesitation whatsoever on their part.
Ocelot's being chased down here by the Illidan. Falstad will join in as well. He's surviving for time, so creating a little bit of space, but overall, Balog will fall, and now Fnatic has an option to move in for the boss to the very north.
And again, Illidan's cooldown reduction on his trait is super important with this. The auto attacks helping him out to always have the hunt cooldown ready. This is why he can spam it out, because he's always moving into the lane, he gets the auto attacks in, and then they are able to just use that again whenever need be. And they go from boss to boss now. They are trying to create the pressure against Team Liquid, and Fnatic so far is doing well with it. In kills, they're still behind. They're still behind in experience to a certain degree, but you can see that we have definitely a series on our hands.
Yes, and do remember, there are 2 nukes available for Fnatic, so Team Liquid has to be careful with their defense. They defend the boss on the bottom. They should be able to rotate up here and start defending the boss on the top, but Fnatic at any point could take their globals and go for an aggressive play. Maybe go for the keep in the bottom right. Watch for these options to pop up here as Fnatic pushes in the top lane for now.
They have that boss now that we talked about, and they actually delayed it even a bit. We have now Nubara currently in the middle, trying to soak some Brightwingers at the bot lane. You've been talking a lot about Brightwing's global, just soaking experience, jumping into these team fights, and that's going to be crucial. Smexy has to be there when they need him, and he's one of the best supports that we have in the European scene. I would actually argue that we have the 2 best supports in Europe currently facing off against each other here.
It's a bold claim there, but one that is hard to contest. The hunt goes in, and that's actually a nuke available for the picking. Nurok will be able to burrow here to survive for now, but doesn't want to be picked off by Wubby. We're going to have Breeze charging in. He brings up the taunt. Here's Quackness as well. Nurok cannot die.
Nurok moves away, but barely, and the fort falls. Fnatic turned up the heat after level 10. They're closing in on level 16, and they stole the nuke that you pointed out. And this is the problem if you're running the Vikings for these items. Once again, we had Olaf with a nuke, and that was a good target for Wubby to go in with the hunt, drop him, and claim it.
And now suddenly Fnatic with these pickoffs and these rotations are ahead of their opponents. They just hit 16, they get the talent tier advantage, and they have their global globals available for a rotation. Team Liquid sitting in a bush here, attempting to play safe.
Fnatic once again double-checking Shrimpy on the Nubrak, zoning them at the bottom of the map. There's Eric trying to go for a nuke himself. 2 nukes already held here. He has to move back. In comes Brightwing. To the left side, we saw Balog also trying to claim 1 nuke himself. There's a lot of nukes on Fnatic right now. They hold 3 nukes already, 4 actually at this point, and they're aiming for a 5th.
4 nukes on the purse here of Fnatic is scary for 2 reasons. 1, they can end the game, but 2, because if they die, Team Liquid can take away the nukes and go for an aggressive play. Fnatic's shot calling has to be on point.
Breeze is the only one without a nuke. Feels bad, man. They don't trust him with the red button.
Poor Breeze, but poor Olaf as he gets picked off by Wubby and Quacknick's rotating out. Now, there is a total of 7 nukes currently available here on this battleground. Nuclear warfare can break out at any point.
Same time, though, we have to talk again about the Vikings. Just look how much value we see for Team Liquid. And Liquid is even aggressively attempting to steal the camp of their opponent away from them, and successfully at that. So they are all over the place. Falstead taking a camp himself. Nice interrupt there against the first nuke attempt. Moving in again with a quick taunt, making that happen once more. Well done by Fnatic. Both of these teams are so eager now to shut down the nuke plays of the opponent's side.
Yeah, I didn't want to lose out on the keeps, and Team Liquid has to respect that interruption twice there. Fnatic rotates in with the false dad, Mighty Gust into the wall, and suddenly they could be in trouble.
I love the taunt just simply to interrupt the nuke process here. It's like, oh no you don't.
It's not happening. The taunt comes out from Fnatic, and they will deny the nuke usage from Team Liquid. So 7 nukes still on the battleground. We're going to have all mercenaries being grabbed from Team Liquid as they attempt to push out the battleground and keep it red, while Fnatic keeps hunting the Vikings. Balog in the top left will get away from both Falstad and Brightwing.
And Hazobs is, of course, all over the place with the Vikings now. He also has on level 16 the stun on Olaf. And this is really where play again gives you a tool to set the Vikings up for a good flank during a team fight. And in this case, especially Falstad needs to be very, very careful because the Vikings are going to try and look for him if they can set up that flank. So this is still 17 versus 17. Yes, Fnatic has turned up the heat. Fnatic is looking good with these aggressive moves, but Team Liquid is nowhere near losing this game yet. Team Liquid actually has, the longer the game goes, a great tool to just win the macro game against their opponent. And that's something that Fnatic has to be very cautious about. Especially if they lose a team fight, they will be on the back foot so fast.
That's why they're being aggressive on these Vikings. They want to pick them off and control the flow of the map in terms of waves. They move in for an aggressive play on Olaf, and Team Liquid backs up Olaf for there, but they do get the bottom lane pushing in. However, Team Liquid, that macro game you keep talking about. Balog is pushing the top with a Merc camp, and Quacknix is forced to rotate back and defend.
Quacknix with a defense at the top and all these camps that you just point out, they're so annoying for them. They always force someone back. This is why they're having so many globals in this game now, because they need to react to these lanes being pushed and they cannot always just simply rely on them killing the Vikings. Of course, bosses are now a huge part of this game. And this is also another reason why Mighty Gust is a really good option for the Falstad here. You were talking a bit about the opportunity to maybe go into an Hinterland Blast, try to get that snipe with an Illidan Hunt to set it up. But the play around bosses is where Mighty Gust, of course, gets even more value.
And you gotta note, Team Liquid was baiting that boss. They were hoping that Fnatic, showing 2 in the top, Brightwing and Falstad, would make Team Liquid go in for the boss. But we had a Nubrak come over, check it out. Shwimpy with great vision control saw that Team Liquid was not near it, and they did not get baited. But still, Team Liquid dances around.
Shrimpy moving out of this. Blumby also not getting caught here. Up to the top lane. Falstad pressuring the Vikings, pushing them back even more. Hazobs always staying outside the range of Falstad. Never risking himself being picked off here, but it is enough for Falstad to just buy them time. Pushing out the lanes, buys time for them. They were thinking about dropping Olaf, and this just shows once again Hazobs is on point with this. Nuke, on the other hand, is still being dropped, and that is damage against the keep itself.
Caldor, there was 9 nukes on the map here. Now, there's only 8 when one gets burned down, but I'm actually very fearful right now for World War III due to Fnatic and Team Liquid and their nuke usage. Haswab gets taunted, that's a nuke dropped.
Yeah, and while Pixar drops the World War analogy with like 4 Germans in the game, we are seeing Blumby moving in with others. Freezes, they are trying to escape. Quacknix with a Mighty Gust, and Darkmaw going into Odin. They are pushing them hard. Cocoon has been used a bit earlier, but Darkmaw essentially burning a bit of a cooldown here because the fight has already stopped.
And they're going to be able to get get their nuke back. Olaf picks it up, and now the Vikings will continue to have their 4 nukes. The boss call has been made. Team Liquid is making this play because Mighty Gust and Cocoon have been used. That means Fnatic has less tools to steal it away.
It's also the best thing they can do with the remainder of the Odin time, but now Odin has dropped, and look at Breeze. He's trying to flank from the side. Blumby already pushed back. The bot is on half HP. Both of the teams are looking at potentially 20. They're dancing around the boss. This is the big point of contention, and Breeze making his way back, going a long way so that that the opponent has no vision. They don't know what's happening here, but it looks like we might actually have a fight pre-20.
Oh my gosh, the air is too intense. You can cut it with a butter knife here. That's
Trick.
Team Liquid's on the right.
We have 4 nukes for this fight on
both
each
teams.
side.
Yeah. It's gonna be scary, man. Does it all come down to this boss? We're gonna have Baylog caught in the top left. It's only a Viking though. He can come back. Eric and Olaf are frantically trying to soak experience in the side lanes to get 20 for Team Liquid. The boss is still being leashed.
Cocoon, they go for the boss. Mighty Gust is there. The nukes come down. The boss is taken. Vikings in the backline, immediately going for Falstad. Not getting the kill. The nuke comes down, get a bit of damage in, but at the same time, Team Liquid is trying to press the advantage, try to get a kill here, but they're not successful. They need to face this boss at the bot lane now. Fnatic walks away with it and tries to go for
the hunt
with a hunt.
Darkmok getting caught there. The sound barrier is popped immediately. Here's Splendor hoping to amp his team home so they can defend around the keep. But Fnatic with a boss and 4 keeps are looking to end the game.
Breeze is going in once again with a taunt. Schwimpy following it up, trying to go for the stun here. The boss is on the move. They try to go for it. Double nuke on the ground, immediately interrupted already. They are making their play. Here comes the Odin once more on the side of Darkmok, trying to push them back. Nukes everywhere.
It's coming out. There's one nuke. It lands. The second collides. It's fireworks for every single team here. Darkbuck on the back left, working in auto attacks. Finally, the boss will fall. The Vikings are working on grabbing nukes in the top, and Fnatic will start to retreat.
It's Armageddon on Warhead Junction.
Hasu?
Nukes everywhere. Hasu moving away again. He's still
Blumby
pushing the top lane, by the way.
Blumby coming in for a big flank. The hunt goes off. We're going straight for Lucio. He's been taunted. Lucio, he falls down. Cocoon being used.
Lucio is down. Hazovs is starting to lose a few of the Vikings. Darkmok also needs to be careful. Olaf is dead. We have Blumby and also Darkmok, Norok, all of them still fighting, not disengaging. They don't have a healer. They have nothing here. More nukes on the side of Fnatic. They hold 3 at this point. They're taking out Olaf. They're going in again with another taunt. They're trying to get the drop against Altos. Down he goes. The Lich King is dead. Fnatic could push for core.
Hasulas falls as well with one of the Vikings. We have Eric on the back right being chased here. He's being swift. He's retreating here. We have no Lucio for 30 seconds. There are 2 nukes available for Fnatic. They are pushing in. Nurok with the drag.
Fnatic drops both of them, goes in again, gets another kill against Sykas. This should be the end. Fnatic goes in for the core. They go in for the kill on this first map. Warhead Junction ends up to be a graveyard. Team Liquid falls as Fnatic is triumphant on map number 1.
Fnatic taking game number 1 in a decisive style there towards the end. That fight was so back and forth, but the moment that Lucio fell, they started to crumble. But my golly, that was a start to the series.
9 nukes in play at some point, and then when we fought for the boss, 4 on each side, all of a sudden it's just fireworks. They're going in. This is what Warhead Junction is supposed to be. This is Heroes of the Storm right there. Great first game. Fnatic struggling really hard in the early game though.
That's what it comes down to with the compositions. Team Liquid with their Vikings pushing their advantage and doing very well in that regard. But the moment that level 10 hit, Fnatic knew they had a power spike. All they had to do was layer their heroics correctly and get the engagements they wanted. Now, for the most part, Team Liquid held on very well. Mostly because the Vikings were around. But do remember, at some point in this game, there was 9 nukes available for use.
Yeah, and it comes down to just super small things, right?
Yeah.
One of the biggest problems was actually when the boss fight at the bottom started, that already earlier, Tychus burned his Odin cooldown at the wrong moment. That's what it comes down to. One cooldown at the wrong moment. The disengage started to happen when he hit the button, he hit R, and all of a sudden Liquid is standing there saying, okay, we burned one of the most important cooldowns right now. Our opponent disengaged already. What are we doing? Let's go for boss. Then he pops out of Odin and he doesn't have the tool available. There's so much damage on there and it's the best zone control they have. We talked about this in previous games on Infernal Shrines, and Fnatic abused that cooldown so hard and they went for it. They realized, hey guys, we can win this now.
It's impressive to see that. It even came to the point where Team Liquid had to use a nuke or 2 just to have a chance to take away that boss. And the great play for Fnatic, they move forward, they take away the boss, and that's where we eventually had that 2 to 3 minute fight in the bottom right. But we have more games coming your way. Game 2, let's get set up